Hello, everyone, and welcome to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am located at 1563 Main Street in Peckville, Pennsylvania, and I am here with you every weekend at this time and on these stations to bring you, the landowner, the valuable information that you need regarding natural gas development here in Pennsylvania. If you are looking for a landowner information show, then this is the show for you. At the Clark Law Firm, I represent landowners and only landowners. Have not, will not, never will, never have represent any oil, gas, pipeline company, or energy company. I represent landowners solely for many, essentially anything and all things related to natural gas development here in Pennsylvania. And of course, gas lease reviews, gas lease negotiations, gas lease amendments, modification agreements, pipeline agreements. You'll hear me say, and I'll keep saying it, I've negotiated, consulted with landowners across Pennsylvania with over 50 separate, different pipeline companies. Over 50 different companies have negotiated and worked on agreements, consulted with agreements across Pennsylvania. And while I'm there, just another quick point. Remember, we're starting to do the show in many different areas now in Pennsylvania. We have been doing the show since August of 2010 in the northeastern part of the state. We transferred over about a year or so ago. We started doing it more in started broadcasting in Tioga County area out of Wellsboro. So we're hitting that area. And we just started running the show in Pittsburgh area in southwestern Pennsylvania. And one of the reasons is that I was getting a lot of calls from southwestern Pennsylvania. I've represented many landowners from the southwestern part of the state. And I want to remind people, distance so far, and I don't think it's going to change, has never proven to be a problem. So if you're in southwestern Pennsylvania, you say, well, hey, this guy isn't right around me, give us a call. Check out the websites, pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com. I've represented many landowners in the western part of the state. Also represented landowners who live across the country and even other places in the world. And I talk about that often. And I do it just to illustrate, with today's technology, do so many things by conference calls, by email, by fax, whatever it may be. We're able to represent people all over the place. I've had clients in Canada, Alaska, Hawaii, Micronesia, London. So wherever you may be, don't be afraid. Give us a call. Like I say, I represent landowners and only landowners that do more and more estate planning now with clients as they've transitioned into royalty phases or in preparation for what they anticipate to be future royalties. Also, unitization issues, royalty issues, surface use agreements, well pad agreements. Are they coming to the property? Do they want to put a meter station on your property? Compressor station. Again, any and all representation related to natural gas on the side solely of the landowner. So if you need representation, you're looking for more information, what you need to do is go check out pagasleaseattorney.com, check out pipelineattorney.com, and you can always contact the office directly, 570-307-0702. That's 570-307-0702. And another reminder, if you're new to the show, because again, we're expanding here, really excited about it. If you're new to the show, if you want to go back, I've been doing the show since 2010. I've been doing this weekly show since 2010. You can go to the websites, pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com. Two things. Great, outstanding information available for you, the landowner, on the websites. You can learn more about me. You can learn more about what we do. Check out the testimonials. And if you're new to the show, and hopefully you like it, you may say, hey, I'd like to hear some more of this. Well, we have hours and hours and hours of archived shows available on the website, pagasleaseattorney.com, and we index those shows by topic. So if you want to hear about gas leasing, there's shows there for you. You want to hear about royalty and royalty deduction issues, there's shows up there for you. You want to hear about pipelines. Boy, there's a lot of shows up there about pipelines. Maybe you're considering selling your oil and gas rights. please go to the website, listen to the shows, read about it, learn. Look, whether you're looking for representation or information, go to the website, pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com. Guarantee you there's going to be something there for you. Also, on the website, you can also reach out. If you have topics, you can enter in, say, hey, I'd like to hear you talk about this, or have you done a show about that? Hey, we'd love to hear from you. Again, I represent landowners, only landowners, across the entire state of Pennsylvania. In fact, just within the last 6 months or so, I had a client in western part of the state, southwestern part of the state, where we did the highest per acre bonus lease that I've ever negotiated. And I say that because, well, a couple reasons. One reason is that I want to explain and talk about the fact that despite location, we're able to do what we would do whether you live next door to my office. And also that, and I'm going to talk more about gas pricing today, but even in this gas pricing market, these decade low gas prices, we're still seeing in certain instances, the key is to identify those instances, but we're still seeing mammoth lease offers, mammoth pipeline offers. So we want to make sure, as always, that you are getting the best possible agreement as a landowner. And you'll hear me say, and I do this, I try to do it, and I think I do for a while now, every week, because I want it to be like a mantra to all my listeners. I want it to be a mantra. I want, when I say this, to hear you say this response. I want to say, remember, don't trust the landman to give you the information you need to make the best decision for yourself. Why? And here's your part. Because the landman works for the gas or pipeline company, not you, the landowner. Their job to get the best deal for their employer, the gas or pipeline company. It sure as heck isn't to get you the best deal as the landowner. So please do not say, oh, wow, this guy seems really nice. I trust him. I'm going to believe this. If this is all the money he says we can get, if these are the best terms we can get, he's a really good guy. He's already told me he's real landowner friendly. So I can tell that's the best I'm going to do. So, okay, where do I sign? Believe me, they do not send landmen out there to start roughing people up. They don't send people out there to go be mean to the landowner. The constant statement and theme that you'll hear all the time from landmen are, oh, I'm really, really pro landowner. I'm all about the landowner. I own land myself. Well, remember, I don't care if they are pro landowner on a private sense. They're doing their job working for the company. And I'll tell you, as an employee, they better be doing the best job that they can for the company. Our job, your job, to recognize that, and to realize what they're doing, and then you need to act in your best interest. I say this all the time. I mean this. Whether you call me or call somebody else, call someone. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am here every week at this time on this station. Remember, everything changes. This market evolves so much. If you're going on the internet and you're looking at message boards and you're reading information, if you're reading information from 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, or even 2015, you may be reading and probably are reading stale information. Markets constantly change. As leases are acquired, leverage changes. This is an evolutionary process, and we're in a very interesting time. So even if your neighbor or somebody down the street or someone you know says, oh yeah, I did a bunch of research, I got this good lease, or I did this, or I did that. Well, number one, we don't know necessarily if that was the best lease or pipeline agreement they could get. Also, maybe they did get a good agreement, but under different circumstances. Every case is different. More so today than ever before, but it's always been true. Every case is different. Your leasing opportunity, your pipeline opportunity, your pipeline leverage, your leasing leverage is going to be different than your neighbor. Also, your risk tolerance, your ability to say, well, I'm going to go ahead and hold off because I think I can get more money in the future. And your willingness to take that type of position may be significantly more than your neighbor. Everybody's life circumstances are different. If you're on the verge of retirement and you have a substantial offer in front of you, you may be more willing to take that offer than risk holding off to see if things improve and better offers arise in the future. People who regularly listen, I have a 20-year-old son, an 18-year-old son who's in high school. The 18, not the 20. He's in high school, and, hey, look, these colleges are super expensive. So when you're looking at that, you say, well, maybe you're in a position similarly where you have children in high school, junior high, or maybe starting college. And we want to look and say, okay, well, if you can do this deal and get this money now, and maybe it's hundreds of thousands of dollars, we may think that in the future there's a potential that you may be able to get a better deal, more money, but the time value of that money today is significant to you. And it may be more significant, well, it would be probably, than the 40-year-old individual with no children who has a good job, who doesn't have much debt, and says, you know what, I think I can do better than this, and I'm willing to take on some more risk and see what happens. We got to look at your situation. But as always, that's just one aspect. We need to look at what's your leverage and assess whether we think that you can do better, what are the chances that we can do better, and do a full overall evaluation of your circumstances. Remember, please, everything we say, everything I say in this show, everything on the websites, none of it is specific legal advice for any individual. The show is to get you thinking. Think about these things. Realize that there's things that you might not be thinking about. We got to look at this as there are many different factors that you need to consider to make the right decision for you and your circumstance. All right, I'm up against my first break. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am here every weekend at this time on this station. And if you miss any of today's show, or you want to go back and listen to hours upon hours of prior shows, we have them up and indexed on the website. And today's show will be up Monday morning. Go to pagasleaseattorney.com. Go to pipelineattorney.com. You can listen to today's show. You can listen to any show over the last at least year. And I know there's going to be something there for you. Take advantage of the website. Take advantage of the prior radio shows. pagasleaseattorney.com. pipelineattorney.com. I'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. And again, I'm here every weekend at this time and on this station to bring you the information that you need as a landowner regarding natural gas development here in Pennsylvania. So we're going to jump into some substance here. I know I did a kind of long intro there, but we're going to get some substance here. And what I want to talk about first, and relatively quickly, first offers that landowners receive. Again, I can't stress it enough. And I know it can sound self-serving. Hey, yeah, here's a lawyer saying call a lawyer. What a shock. Well, you really should. And whether it's me or someone else, please do, because here's common example. Again, this isn't specific advice for any specific individual. This is general information to have you think, to be thinking. So it is somewhat routine where we'll hear, or I'll be involved in a case, or a landowner come and say, yeah, the company offered me, say, $20,000. And I said, no, I want $200,000. And the company came back and they offered me $100,000. So the first offer in this hypothetical case was $20,000. But a matter of 2 sentences countering to the company and saying, nah, I don't want to do that at $20,000. I want $200,000. That back and forth alone in this example just raised the price from $20,000 to $100,000. 2 sentences when it made you $80,000 in the offer. That doesn't happen all the time, but I assure you, it happens. And it happens way more than what you may think. I've had cases where starting offers were around $20,000 and the signed agreement was for 200,000, 300,000, or even more. The point is, whatever you do, please explore that first offer. What you don't want to do, what you do not want to do, is have a reputation as a landowner as being what I call a, quote, signer, end quote. Well, what does that mean? Well, what that means is the companies kind of keep a book on you, if you will. Every communication that they have with you, there's a little summary that they type up, and it goes back to the company. So that landman is reporting not only to his bosses, his or her bosses, for the company they work for, but also if they're contracted by an oil and gas company, that report, that paragraph or few paragraphs about the interaction with you as a landowner, that's going to everybody. That goes to the bosses at the land service company and also the bosses and the management team, the decision makers at the gas or pipeline company. So why do I say that? Well, look, if you have a reputation that you quickly signed a gas lease for bad terms, you signed early, and that's okay. We can't go back in time. Remember, we can never go back in time, but we can always learn from our mistakes and other landowner mistakes. So when we enter into new agreements, if we're going to make sure that we don't repeat those mistakes. We're going to enter into strong landowner-friendly agreements. We're going to maximize compensation, money, and we're going to protect our property. We're going to give ourselves the ability to say no to potential future offers. We're going to give ourselves the ability to negotiate future offers, and we're going to limit how, when, and where, as much as we possibly can, the company, where they can operate on your property. So that's the key. Maximize compensation, maximize language in landowner-friendly terms. So back to what I'm saying here. You do not want to have a reputation as a signer, meaning that, hey, we went to them, the reports show, these internal documents show, yeah, we went to landowner Mr. Smith, and no offense to any Mr. Smiths out there, but we went to landowner Mr. Smith, we gave him a gas lease, we told him, hey, you're going to get a bunch of royalties, and Mr. Smith quickly signed. Then, fast forward a few years, Mr. Smith hasn't seen any royalties yet. Here comes the pipeline company landman. Says, hey, Mr. Smith, yeah, you haven't been receiving any royalties, but you know what? We can't get your royalties unless we get pipelines in the ground. So here's a pipeline agreement. And hey, yeah, this is what we pay everybody. Here you go. You sign this. We can get you some royalties. Everything is going to be great. Mr. Smith, again, doesn't explore, doesn't get more information, doesn't consult with a knowledgeable attorney to decide, do I have to do this? Is this a fair and reasonable offer? Can I negotiate this? How much better can I do? Doesn't do any of those things, but says, oh, okay, I see that big, gigantic carrot of it, which is really just a promise of these enormous future royalties. So I say, again, Mr. Smith says, where do I sign? Well, Mr. Smith signs again and signs a bad agreement. He's developing more and more this reputation as a signer of documents that the company presents without negotiating, without exploring, just signing because the landman has promised future royalties and you're going to be a millionaire, just sign here. Think about that. You're going to be a millionaire, just sign here. Most people who sign oil and gas leases and pipeline agreements aren't children. They have lived, some people, a very long and full life. How many times in your life, whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or 80, how many times has somebody came up to you and said, oh, here, sign this document and you're going to be rich? Most likely, never. So think about that. This is going to be the time that's totally different and you're going to become a millionaire. Well, let me say, is it possible that you sign a gas lease, you're in a great area, you have a lot of acreage, they immediately come in within a year or two or 5 years, whatever, start producing from your property, have outstanding results, and you get substantial royalties? Absolutely, that's possible. But as listeners know, that's not something that we're seeing across the state. And what we saw in 2007, 8, and 9, all of these promises of millionaires. You always hear the joke about the Clampetts. Everybody's saying, oh, and I joke. I said, boy, when we were signing lease after lease after lease and doing all these leases in 2008, 9, and 10, and I would see the landowners walk out the door, and you could almost see the dollar signs above their heads because that's what they were thinking about. You know, these thought bubbles filled with dollar signs. Well, for most people, that hasn't occurred. That hasn't occurred. But when we do those leases, any lease we do, we're going to maximize that compensation that's available in the market at that time, and we're going to get you the best landowner language that we can have added to the agreement. Now, do you become a millionaire in the future? Well, time will tell. But one thing is for sure, your chances of having future royalties and higher royalties or riches are going to be better if you have a good agreement, the best possible agreement. If you are just a signer, if the company comes and they have a book on you now, well, we gave them the gas lease. They just signed when we handed it to them. We gave them a pipeline agreement. They just signed. They didn't try to negotiate. Maybe there's another pipeline agreement or even another pipeline company. I see this, unfortunately, way too often. Just recently, I had a landowner come in. They had signed 3 different pipeline agreements and a gas lease at the lowest possible compensation that the company would offer. I had represented many people in the same township, in the same area, same county with these companies, and we did considerably better. I'm not saying that as I'm some kind of super genius. I'm saying that you need to know the market. You need to know the players. You need to know your leverage, and you need to negotiate. I am very confident that if these landowners would have came to me earlier, that probably, based on other work in that area, we could have got hundreds of thousands of more dollars for them. But they have a reputation as a signer, so anytime the company needs anything, they say, hey, let's go to the people that sign quickly and make sure we get them signed up. Well, how does that go then from there? Well, what if you need, as a company, you need a meter station? Well, you know these guys, Mr. Smith, you know he always signs. So you run out, you give him the bare bones offer, and you say, hey, yeah, we're going to need this meter station. We want to get you these royalties. Here, go ahead and sign here. And Mr. Smith signs. Please don't be a signer, because it's in the long run, it's never going to benefit you. Now, so when I say that, what do I mean it's never going to benefit you? Well, you can have some benefit, but the point is that if you learn, negotiate, you might be able to obtain, in many cases, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of more dollars. At the same token, maybe you can't, but you need to explore it. The difference between negotiating and not negotiating literally can be hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars. One of the things that I do more of recently is, if you have that offer, and I want to, please pay attention to this because this is really important. If you get that offer and you say, well, I'm not sure what I want to do, I hear I should negotiate, or hey, look, I want to just get these royalties. When you get that offer, one of the things I do a lot nowadays is we'll do a review and consultation. What does that mean? We'll look at the offer. You send me the information. Do these by telephone all the time. Send me the information. We schedule a telephone conference call. We review the offer, talk about what I've seen in your area, what I've seen across the state, we assess your leverage. Unbelievably important. We assess your leverage and get a plan together and say, hey, look, number one, you can refuse this or not. Number two, you can negotiate it. How would you like to negotiate it? What is your risk tolerance? Do you really want this agreement to go through? Can you push it? We do these all the time, and I mean this, time after time after time. Doing these reviews has resulted in, over time, certainly millions upon millions of more dollars for the landowner. And again, it's about getting the good quality information. And who's not going to give it to you? Please guess it. The company landman. Why? Because the landman works for the company, not for you. You got to remember that. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am here every week at this time on this station to get you, the landowner, the information that you need regarding natural gas development here in Pennsylvania. So circling back, we do not want you as a landowner to have a reputation as someone who's just going to sign documents. Because then even if you decide that you want to maybe negotiate or do something, well, that reputation may push down the offer that the company may be willing to give you. So if you have this reputation where the company thinks, hey, this landowner is just about trying to get some money quick. So now they come to you and they offer you something, say, as a $20,000 agreement. And you say, well, I want $100,000. And the company says, well, geez, yeah, we're willing to pay more than 20, but this guy's always signed. Mr. Smith has always signed quickly. We'll pay him 100, but you know what? Let's say something like, oh, well, we can't do that. Gas prices are really low. How about we do $30,000? And remember, too, that the company is going to use gas prices every way they can to try to get you as the landowner to sign a lower value agreement. Remember that. Again, sometimes that's a really legitimate argument by the company. Other times, the companies know that they can use that and say, hey, reasonable landowner, gas prices are so low, this is the best we can do. Well, we need to dig deeper. And that's what I was saying. Like I do these reviews and consults. We look at what this market is, what I've seen in other areas, and usually we're talking like an hour or two of time, and you as a landowner are so much better prepared and knowledgeable going forward. Whether it's a pipeline agreement, gas lease, lease amendment modification, compressor station agreements, meter site, surface use agreement, well pad, whatever it is, if you have an offer, and please forgive me as this is kind of my commercial alert here in the show, you can call me, 570-307-0702. But if you don't call me, call someone. Landowners are leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars, combined millions upon millions of dollars on the table because they're not getting good quality information. It's happening all the time. We need to stop it. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I am here every week at this time on this station. I'm up against my break, but I'll be right back in 1 minute. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Another reminder, check out pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com. If you miss any of today's show, or you want to go back and listen to prior shows, I've been doing the show since August of 2010, pagasleaseattorney.com, pipelineattorney.com. We have many shows, hours upon hours, archived at the websites, and we index them by topic, and we'll have today's show up on Monday morning. You can go check it out. Whether you're looking for representation or information, go to pagasleaseattorney.com and pipelineattorney.com. Okay, I'm going to jump right back into this. So what I'm talking about is, again, we do not want you as a landowner to develop a reputation as a signor, being someone who's just going to sign documents, because essentially what you have then is you have a reputation as someone that the company can take advantage of. We do not want that to be the case. We want a book on you as a landowner from the company's side to be, hey, this guy isn't just an easy mark. This is someone who understands their rights, who has an attorney who understands their rights, and who is going to make sure that they get the best possible agreement. When they approach you, they know that you know what you're doing. You're not going to simply sign, and you're going to work to get the best possible agreement. And don't be afraid. Companies don't run from that. I've represented hundreds upon hundreds of landowners. We get outstanding agreements for the clients. And we assess the leverage and we walk through this plan and we assess the risk tolerance of the individual, the client, the landowner, and we do what we can to make the best for you and your circumstances. Critical that you do that. Time and time again, I see $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 offers turn into $100,000, $200,000. I stress this isn't specific advice for anybody. It's not that this happens every single time, but it happens many times. And when you have these reviews and consults, and I'm sorry to preach on this a bit, but you're going to leave that conversation knowing so much more, having a plan together, deciding, do I want to do this? Do I want to negotiate it? And hey, there are absolutely times where I say, hey, look, I don't see this offer getting any better. Here's what we can do. Maybe you can refuse it. Maybe you can't. We talk about all those things. But it drives me crazy to see landowners being taken advantage of. And many times, in my experience, is the landowner doesn't know who to call or what to do. So again, check out PA Gas Lease Attorney. And I'm sorry, again, this is kind of commercial, but it's so, so important. I see it happening all the time. And I don't care if you're in the Pittsburgh area, Tioga County, Potter County. Just did a conference call with one of my clients who lives in Florida. I have several clients in Florida right now, several in the Pittsburgh area right now. No matter where you are, you can always contact us at 570-307-0702. That book that the company has on you, we need to change it. We need it to read that you're a smart, intelligent, knowledgeable landowner. And when I mean that, and please, when I say like smart, intelligent, my clients I find are incredibly smart and intelligent. But you could be the smartest person in the world, and if you never dealt with these issues, you have no experience, so it's hard to operate or learn from this experience if you don't have it. So it's critical that no matter how smart you are, that you're communicating or consulting or dealing with somebody who has that knowledge and background to assist you. Again, if it's me or someone else, you need to do that. We need to stop. We need to stop from landowners' side leaving tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table because we're buying into what the gas company or pipeline company landman is selling us because we're too cautious to reach out, don't know who to call. Get this information. Get this information. It's always going to be very valuable for you. And maybe the information is, hey, look, this is as good as you're going to get. And you're kind of in a pinch here, and this is probably something that you're going to want to go ahead and sign, and at least you've explored it. There have been times after times with phone calls that just a phone call changes the offer by hundreds of thousands of dollars. You have to take that opportunity. You cannot get taken advantage of. We need to protect the landowners. They have, you'll hear me say this in commercials, experienced landmen, lawyers, management teams working for them. You need to protect yourself. I'm Attorney Doug Clark. You're listening to All Things Marcellus. I'm here every weekend at this time on these stations to bring you, the landowner, the information you need regarding natural gas development. You miss any of today's show, you want to hear many, many hours of prior shows, go to pagasleaseattorney.com and pipelineattorney.com. Okay, I'm going to switch gears a little bit, but I just hope that resonates. Please get information. Don't just be a signer. I see people who are signers, and sometimes they'll come to me later, and it's never too late. It's never too late to do a better job. So maybe you signed 3 bad agreements in the past. That doesn't mean you need to sign a 4th one. And what sparked this conversation for me today is that I recently met with a landowner within the last couple of weeks who had routinely signed had signed a bad gas lease, signed some bad pipeline agreements, and now they were approached for another major agreement for significant activity in the property. And I'll tell you, thank heavens they finally called, because already that offer is going to and has significantly increased, but they're so much more informed because now they know the information that they need from the landowner side, not the information that the gas or pipeline company wants you to have. Because, sorry, this is a record maybe, the gas or pipeline company landman works for the company, not for you, the landowner. Their job is to get the best agreement for the company. Your job, get the best agreement for you and your family and your property. Okay, I'm going to move on here. I'm going to try to move on, but it's just such a big issue. I can't stand to see people being taken advantage of, and we need to stop it. We need to stop it. All right. So another thing I want to talk about here today is, I've been doing shows about the impact of low gas prices. Once again, I know it's a broken record, but go back to PA Gas Lease Attorney and listen to some of these shows if you're a new listener. Low gas prices absolutely has a negative impact on the industry, but that's not the end of everything. Within the last 6 months, did the largest signing bonus lease that I've done in my entire career since I started this. And it was, I think, by $2,500 more than the next closest lease that I did. And why do I say that? Because even in this gas price market, I was involved in, and we secured the best bonus compensation that I've ever seen in Pennsylvania. So when gas companies preach to you, well, the gas prices are so low, this is the best we can do, we don't have any money, we're lucky we're still around, and all these things. Well, the truth of the matter is that within the last 6 months, I know one company that's paid someone, a client of mine in a lease, significantly more than any other bonus that I've ever been involved in. Well, what does that tell you? Well, that company is either absolutely, as stupid as can be, which I don't think that to be the case, but they recognize that these gas prices are going to go up. They recognize that. You're talking about developing properties 50 to 100 years or more. So, yeah, it's real nice to say to the landlord, oh, these gas prices are so low, this is the best we can do. But are they going to come back to you in 5 years and say, hey, well, these gas prices really spiked, and I know we told you back in 2016 that this is the best we can do, but since these gas prices really spiked, we're going to come back, we're going to give you some more money because we're doing much better now. Well, no, that's not going to happen. But again, this isn't specific advice for anyone. This is to say, hey, look, just because the gas prices are low now isn't the end of this. Gas companies with money to spend use, and the same with pipeline companies, use these low gas prices as a tool to sign landowners for lower compensation, lower royalty percentages in gas leases, to sign leases that are going to allow for very costly deductions, and to sign bad pipeline right-of-way agreements. They know that this is an opportune time to have people sign bad agreements. We, on the landowner side, need to look at your specific situation and assess, is this something where we have some more leverage? Is this a situation where, hey, maybe we're better off waiting a little bit and seeing how these numbers change? Or, hey, under these circumstances, I think this is what I need to do now, and I'm going to go forward. Good quality representation is going to give you those answers and guide you through that process. But gosh, please, again, don't just say, well, the land guy, yeah, it's true. I look at the gas prices. They're so low. This is the most they can pay. All right, where do I sign? Do not do that. Do not do that. I'm going to talk more about this because I got some other examples. I'll tell you, I got boatloads of examples in recent times to show that when a company has money, they'll spend it, and you can negotiate these agreements even in the bad market times. I'll be right back. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Check out PAGasLeaseAttorney.com. check out pipelineattorney.com. You miss any of today's show, we'll have this show up on Monday, many other shows available. And you can always contact me directly at 570-307-0702. I'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. I'm here every weekend on this station at this time to give you, the landowner, the valuable information that you need regarding natural gas development. And I'm talking about these low gas prices and how very smart companies are using these prices to induce or convince landowners to sign bad gas leases, bad gas lease amendments, modifications, extensions, bad pipeline agreements, and many other agreements. Do not be fooled into signing a bad agreement because of low gas prices. Again, stressing, this is not advice for any specific individual. It is general information to let people know that despite the current gas prices, you may be able to negotiate any given offer significantly to acquire higher compensation and better landowner terms. In other examples, you may not be able to have those negotiations where they're going to produce those types of benefits, but you must explore, you must research, you must get information, because landowners are being told, hey, yeah, this is really low gas prices, this is the best we can do. And they say, okay, well, yeah, I see that the gas prices are really low. So, all right, well, that makes sense. Where do I sign? Don't do that. Don't do that. In Western Pennsylvania, within the last 6 months, I had a client who signed the highest per acre bonus that I've ever had. Highest one ever. And I've done hundreds and hundreds of leases. I have another offer right now for a client, multiple offers for thousands. I'll just say thousands and thousands of dollars in a per acre offer. Also, within this last 6 months, I talk a lot about royalty calculation language. We don't want to just look at what the percentage is. That's an enormous factor. What's your royalty percent? Is it the state minimum 12.5%? Is it 15? Is it 16? What's your offer? But then second part, how are your royalties going to be calculated? Can the company take deductions? Can the company sell the gas to themselves, essentially to an affiliate? And can you, as a landowner, do better than that? Are you tied to, if the company sells it to themselves or their affiliate, is that the price you're going to get? Be careful about that, because they can potentially sell that gas at a lower price to the affiliate than what they may be able to attain in an open market. Can we eliminate that potential of a problem? Well, we need to explore that. And I'm going to tell you, this isn't something we're talking about that takes months or weeks or even days. We can look at this. We can say, okay, hey, in this situation, here's what we think. Or I've done this recently. We've gone down this path. We fought these issues, and here's how they worked out. Now, in your situation, what do we anticipate? Again, it's never specific advice, what you're hearing on the show or what you read on the websites, but it's to get you thinking. Here's another thing. Yeah, we got to sign these bad agreements because of the low gas prices. That's what the dialogue out there is, the narrative that the landmen say to the landowner. You got to sign this. These gas prices are so low, this is the best that can happen. Well, I gave you a counter where I just recently had a client who signed the highest per acre bonus. I have another client pending out there with many thousands of dollars out there being offered now on a per acre basis. Also, I was talking about the royalty and royalty calculation language. I just recently, again, within the last 6 months, had the strongest landowner friendly royalty calculation language that I've ever been able to obtain. Now, is that common? No, but by working on this one case, by spending some time and doing this, the landowner has obtained hundreds and hundreds of thousands more in compensation, has obtained a higher royalty percentage, and has obtained royalty calculation language that will yield, in my opinion, hundreds of thousands of more dollars over time. Well, How did this journey start? You know, they always say like the journey starts with the first step. Well, this journey in this case, that was a very positive journey for the landowner, started with a phone call, a consultation, a review, and talk about, hey, we have some real potential here. What can we do? Some cases you have it, some you don't, but you owe it to yourself. You have to find out what is your leverage and what can you do in this situation. Do not let yourself be taken advantage of. I'm Attorney Doug Clark. You're listening to All Things Marcellus. I am here every weekend at this time on this station to give you the information that you need as a landowner regarding natural gas development here in Pennsylvania. So again, I said I have boatloads of examples. Another thing that we see out there, and I'm not going to go too far into this, but give an example where landowners all the time, and you know, you're out there, listeners, you get these letters in the mail, companies looking to buy oil and gas rights, buy your gas rights. Please, commercial alert, if you get that letter, you know, if you're ever thinking of doing that, I'm going to just say it. Call me, 570-307-0702. Set up a consultation. I'll talk about the pros and cons, what we see in your area, give you some ideas, things to watch out for. Again, things aren't always as they seem, so we need to dig into this. But companies out there saying, oh, we can only give you the lowest minimum royalty. We can only give you a little bit of money per acre bonus. Well, some of these companies, I'm hearing things, and I'll leave it at that, of $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 an acre to buy gas rights. Now, that's not everywhere, but that's occurring out there. So what does that tell you? Why would a company pay $7,000, $8,000 per acre to buy your gas rights in this market? Because they know the gas prices will go up. They know that production is way down. Landowners are very frustrated because they're not getting big royalties as promised. And this is an ideal time for these types of companies to swoop in, say, hey, yeah, landowner, you signed this lease. You know, you're supposed to get all this money. Hasn't worked out. But we're going to be your saviors here. We're going to give you $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 an acre, and we'll buy your gas rights. Well, you know, these companies aren't stupid either. And so why are they doing that? They know the price is going to go up. They know that you as a landowner may be very frustrated, and you're maybe much more willing today to sign your gas rights away than you would have been a few years ago when you had a lot more optimism. So what I see this all the time. So again, please, if you're ever going to sell your oil and gas rights, call 570-307-0702. We'll set up a conference. I do these all the time, and we'll explain it. We'll walk through it, and you may elect to go ahead and sell your gas rights. Or you may say, wow, never thought of all those things. I don't want to sell my gas rights. That was a great piece of information. It was a great call. Thank you. And now I know how I'm going to handle this going forward. Information. Good quality information that you need to know. Not what the gas company or the mineral rights acquisition company wants you to know. What you need to know. Real quick example. Say the company's offering you $5,000 per acre to buy your gas rights and you have 100 acres. Well, that is $500,000. Well, you know what? If you can get $6,000 per acre instead of $5,000, you just made $100,000 additional dollars. You know, you can shop these things around. You can look, if you definitely are committed to selling your gas rights, you don't want to sell them cheap. And I use the example of a $1,000 increase per acre. Sometimes you can see more than that. Well, maybe you see $500 increase. Maybe you don't even see an increase, but you explore it. There are many different traps. There are many different opportunities, and you can't fall into these traps. And you must take advantage of the opportunities. For most of my clients, their property is their largest asset. These oil and gas rights, which they didn't anticipate having the value, now have this value. We must make sure that you're maximizing the potential no matter what you want to do. So much more to come. You're listening to All Things Marcellus with me, Attorney Doug Clark of the Clark Law Firm. Again, I'm only scratching the surface of this issue. Go check out PAGasleaseattorney.com. Check out pipelineattorney.com. I am here. I would love to hear from you. Represent people all across the state. Call me anytime, 570-307-0702. Remember, we'll have today's show posted up and available on Monday morning at pagasleysattorney.com. Tune in every week at this time on this station. I want to once again welcome all of the new listeners and make sure to keep tuning in. I have all kinds of shows ahead, and this is just the beginning. Have a great week, everyone.